Yeah. Happy to share about that. I think I just first want to say how much I'm aware of the difficulties so many people are dealing with, and just really feel for that. And some people have families and some people don't, and are struggling with isolation and loneliness and all kinds of things. So I just really feeling for what all of humanity is dealing with, either directly or indirectly, with knowing of the suffering of others and kind of, the difficulties ahead. So, but I have great faith that the more we, as Abraham Lincoln said, focus on our better angels and all the good way, the goodness that we have to give to each other, we'll be able to get through it. So, my family, my wife, and my 2 children, we're here together, and my daughter is going on 15, my son going on 13. And what's been really valuable for us as a family is to, we just started doing a family circle once a day. And it does take some time to kind of build the habit of that, to remember to do that. But we just have a time where we just say, okay, we're gonna do our family circle, and it's been so valuable. So I'll talk in a few moments about kind of more specifically how we do that. But maybe just more generally, I want to speak to the importance I find in doing my work with empathic communication and conversations, that it's important, I find, to create some kind of structure, even if it's really kind of subtle and light, but something that kind of invites us into a deeper space. And I think that's where the importance of ritual has been there for us human beings, for all the way back to our very beginnings as humans, the importance of ritual. And I think ritual is about creating structure that is kind of sacred almost, that brings us into a kind of sacred space of connection. And that, so in terms of having conversations, whether it's with one other person or a group, like a family, and sitting together as a family, that there's a bit of some kind of structure that supports slowing down a little bit, because normally we're like moving at a fast pace of thinking and talking and kind of reacting to stuff. So the way I like to think of this, like this family kind of check-in and connection time is that it's a time to slow down a bit, and one person talking at a time is how I like to do it. We got to go around in a circle, so kind of decide who wants to speak first, and everybody agrees you're just going to listen to the person who's speaking. But that kind of structure I find is really, really helpful to just drop into a deeper space. And when I mean deep, it doesn't necessarily mean highly vulnerable and emotional or whatever. I mean, it can, but to me, depth means that quality of presence, quality of that slowing down to really be with who's talking, and to be with ourselves. Like if, when we're talking, to be really present to what is going on in me that I want to share, and what's really important, what really matters right now, and how am I feeling right now, whatever that is, the truth of that. To slow down, to really connect to that and speak to it and from it, and then to really focus on that when whoever else is speaking. So this kind of really taking turns, one person at a time, being really present as much as we can with each person. So all those are new habits for a lot of families and a lot of people to have that kind of conversation, right? But I find whenever I do it, really literally every time, whether it's with one person or a group or my family, it's different, and it feels better. It feels more enriching and nourishing and sort of fortifying to do this, right? And then there are various kind of other skills and practices that are part of my work that I'm not going to try to go into now, but just even doing what I'm saying so far, just that creating a bit of structure, slowing down, taking turns, that really focusing and being present, I find it just creates that quality of nourishing depth, right? So let me say another thing that's coming to my mind about this, though, with my family. My kids are it's awkward for them to do this. It's uncomfortable. They're getting in the teenage years. So there's the eye rolling and the, oh, come on, or, trying to avoid it. And yet, so we're playful about it, my wife and I, and like, oh, no, come on. And we just say, let's do this. And so, be ready for the eye rolling for a lot of kids or whatever, some version of that. But to be able to, one thing that helps us is time limit. So I've actually said, let's just start with 5 minutes. So that's another kind of part of some structure, is to really be clear we don't have to do this for hours or anything, let's just start with 5 minutes, and we'll just do a timer. We'll have a timer. So you can be, rest assured we're not going to just go on forever. And we'll just do a little quick check-in going around. And sometimes it's just kind of how you're doing and how's it going today. And sometimes it's more about how are you doing about what we're dealing with the pandemic and what's happening in the world. And we'll try to really give the kids and ourselves a chance to reflect on that more deeply. But at other times, it's just kind of how the day went and sort of a sharing about the day and how everybody's doing. So there's different kind of questions or topics you can focus on. But anyways, creating that time boundness helps, I think, with anybody, and kids particularly, that feel some resistance to doing this weird thing now that we haven't been doing. But I think it just helps us. I think all of us can help us come together as a family or whoever, if we create that intentionality to connect in a kind of purposeful way that's about really being with what matters, how we're really feeling, what's really going on for us. In my experience, like say, my wife and I, if we're having a conflict about something now, we say, okay, let's go into a more structured conversation, where probably just empathic conversation, where we're really just taking turns hearing each other. And so this kind of structure that I was talking about can even more be important for conflicts to start to arise, and to be able to say, can we put this into a process where we agree to really just try to slow it down and really hear each other and make sure we're understanding each other and reflecting back to each other what we're hearing and making sure that we're understanding, and then try to solve it in some way. But to kind of call for this or invite this or ask for it when there's a conflict can be super helpful to actually getting through that conflict in a productive, constructive way, in a way that ends up at least being connecting, and maybe even opening into really, things that are better because you had that difficult conversation, that you came to some new idea, some new possibility, some new insight about how you could do things differently, or a deepening of the connection, the relationship, because of the conflict actually. But I find it needs that support. Not just, there's skills you can learn for sure that help, but then there's just that structure that if you bring and invite and ask for a kind of mutual agreement, you can actually have much more success moving through where there's conflict. And I'm thinking of times when my kids were younger. It doesn't really happen much anymore. They have a fantastic relationship. They're super close. They have little arguments or fights once in a while, but they mostly just have a great relationship. They have a great relationship, and they have a lot of harmony and love and care and sweetness between them. And I like to at least imagine that what was part of that is how my wife and I have supported communication in our family as they've grown up. And when I remember many times when they were younger, when they were in conflict, I would kind of mediate between them. So I'd ask them to, oh, can I help with this? And I'd try to really listen to both of them and hear them, and invite them to try to hear each other. So again, I was kind of bringing a bit of structure to them with their conversation and helping hear each side and helping them hear each other. And that has stuck with them, I think, as they've learned, they've ingrained in themselves, beyond, I think, even conscious awareness, that they can communicate how they're feeling. They could ask for what they want. They could try to understand each other. They can work together to find solutions that work for both of them. So I think all this is this opportunity of being home together more, and the conflicts that come up, the tensions, all the stuff that gets magnified because we're around each other so much. This just gives a safety valve. It just gives a safety net too, of kind of like you can feel held in this, knowing you can go into a family circle, you can set up a two-person kind of conversation that either there can be a third person that's kind of helping support that, or it's just the two of you, two people at a time, or if you have it can be a family circle in the middle of the circle, or the two people that are talking something through and the others are just kind of holding that space and being present. And so there's different ways you can again create structure, but to know that you have a way you're going to consistently connect in a deeper empathic way, how you can bring conflict to a process that will support the connection to happen, the collaboration to happen. It's just such a nice feeling of like knowing you have that to rely on and to tap into and to ask for. And it's just when things start to feel triggered and overwhelming, and you can kind of something you can go to, and especially the more you do it, you build that habit and familiarity. It's my experience, just invaluable. It's just such a peace of mind almost to know we have that anchor to keep coming back to for connection, and then to come back to connection if we lose it. One thing is to try to have ourselves be as resourced as we can as parents, because it's like the lower bandwidth, the more stressed we are, the less capacity. It's very hard to be present with another in a helpful way if we're just our bandwidth is really, really stretched. So the more we can do to take care of ourselves, the more we can be very present, much more present for others, and our kids in this case, or our partners for that matter. So I think meditation is a key part of health and well-being. So there's a lot of things to take care of our health, right? Trying to eat is, especially during this time, to boost our immune system physically, but then also to be able, in the context of what we're talking about here, to be really, present for one another and in a constructive way instead of a kind of destructive way or disconnecting way, but to how to take care of ourselves so we can all the physical stuff, we can eat well, we can get as much good sleep as we can and have good what's called sleep hygiene so that we can more likely have a good night's sleep, just all those things that a lot of people are talking about in general, just around health. But now more and more, what's associated with our health is mindfulness and meditation practice. It's just like going on exercise and going for walks and taking care of ourselves in all these physical ways. The emotional and mental level of how meditation supports that. It's mental training so that we can be able to work with the thoughts that are actually, stress us and make us angry and fearful and anxious, so we can have ways of noticing and being aware of our thoughts and how that affects our body and our emotions. And so I think there's so many wonderful mindfulness apps out there and different ways to get mindfulness support online. And so many people now, because of what we're dealing with in being inside, there's so much happening online. So I just encourage you to check out, if you haven't already, mindfulness and meditation practice just to support your health and well-being, and especially your mental, emotional health. But it also helps your physical health to do this practice that enhances well-being and our resilience. And so anyways, and that's a core part of my work and my training, is to combine a mindful awareness with language and how we use language and communication and conversation. And so I think that taking care of ourselves that way is crucial. So anything you can do to support your own well-being, your own capacity, your container to hold stress, to hold difficulty, to hold challenges. And so there's a lot of practices you can do there. And how you talk. So in my work, how do you talk to yourself? How do you be aware of what you're observing and feeling and what your human needs are and what requests you have to take care of yourself? So all that you can use certain language of how you talk to yourself, as well as being mindfully present and aware with you, and then doing the things that are really going to nurture you and take care of you. So that's a key one, self-care. And then to show up if there is conflict happening between you or others in your family, or between other members or different members of your family. Again, I think it can help to ask for permission. Can I help here? I'd really like to be supportive. Can I help? And then maybe I'll just sit here and be here and try to be present with both of you. If you're not sure how to use language to understand and we call empathize with both sides of whatever the conflict is, at least your presence. If you're in a more calm state and you can relax and use your breath or something that relaxes you, and just being present with them equally with your attention and just asking them to slow down, and you'll be there to kind of just support them to try to hear each other in a different way. If you're not sure what to do beyond that, even that is valuable. Just that an invitation to slow down and for you to sit with them and just be present while they try to hear each other. And then there are a lot of skills that you can learn in addition to that. But again, if you don't know them and you just doing what I said, I think can be a big contribution. But again, the more you're in a calm space, that people feel that. Our bodies are communicating non-verbally and unconsciously all the time. So whatever we do to be centered and grounded and present and not totally off in our own mental reactivity and emotional reactivity, the more we have that quality of stability in our being, the more that just naturally reverberates organically out to others around us. And then if you just sit with people in that intentional, again, lightly structured way, it can just help people start to move towards connection.